Okay, so we are back, and remember we're working with 9.3, and we're going to do this last example. This last example is going to take me a little bit, and I didn't want to rush through it, so this is the last example on here, okay? So again, same idea. I want to add this to this side. Now, how do I know that? I cannot isolate the radical. There's two of them, first of all. All right, so I cannot isolate the radicals. So I'm going to start off with that, and I'm going to square both sides. So I want to have a radical on one side and a radical and a number on the other. Okay? That's basically what you're aiming for when you see a question that looks like this. Now if I square this, I'm going to have a 2x minus 2 because the radical and the square will cancel. And on this side, I'm going to have to square this. Remember, I'm going to write this again. Maybe on this one I'll take a little bit more time just to make sure we understand how I'm getting what I'm getting. This is the same thing as this. Right? If I have this squared, I have this. So I'm going to FOIL. I have this one times this one. Right? Which in this case would be that square root times that square root gives you just the inside of the square root. Okay? Now I'm going to have this times this. So I have plus 1x plus 6. Now I have this times this. Same thing. I get square root of x plus 6. And then finally get 1 times 1, which is just 1. I'm going to add like terms now on the right side. So this is a like term, that's a like term, this is a like term, that's a like term. Alright. So this would be 2x minus 2. This side has not changed. This would be x plus 7. Remember, I added those two. And this right here, you have one of these and one of these, which creates 2 square roots of x plus 6. Alright. Alright, so after that, okay, so now we're sort of back to what we were doing before. We want to isolate the radical. So we're going to subtract the 7. Be careful not to add those two. Remember, this 2 is attached to this. So we're going to subtract. We're going to subtract the 7 from both sides. So I get 2x. Excuse me. Should probably do it on the same step because that's going to cost me some room. I'm going to subtract that x too. So again, I want to isolate that radical. So get x minus 9 is equal to 2x plus 6. Alright. Now, if this was just a number, like I did previously, remember? I just go ahead and I would just divide it. But, just like problem, let's see what I'm going to do like that. Just like this problem number 6, if I do that, it's going to cost me to go through all of this all over again. So I know that if I have a function equal to some radical function, okay, then I'm going to leave that 2 there. And you can really leave that 2 there, or any number there, anytime you want to, as long as you do square it. But it tends to be simpler if you do it like this, because otherwise I would have to divide by 2. Now I have a fraction. Now this has become a more difficult problem. Alright, so I'm going to square this. Now this is foiling. I did teach you foiling up here. It's the same idea. Plus 81, and this would be 4 times x plus 6. So essentially we're squaring that 2, and we're squaring this, which gives us this. Okay, so this should be the downhill slope for you. This is 4x plus 24. I'm going to go ahead and, remember, if you have a square function, I want to set it equal to 0 first. I'm going to subtract 24, subtract 4x. That's going to be 0 on the right side, which is great. So I have x squared minus 22x plus 57 is equal to 0. Okay? Now, hopefully this is factorable, but if it's not, remember you can always use a quadratic formula. So I need two factors, both negative factors of 57, that up to 22. Remember, 57 might be kind of a hard one for you, or you can always use your calculator on this part to try to figure that out. You can go over here. I have 42. 57 divided by x on the graphing calculator, and you press second graph, which will take you to the table. And what I am looking for, I normally like to go to the positive numbers so I don't get confused. I'm looking for whole numbers. 1 and 57, that is definitely not 22, but 3 and 19, 3 plus 19 is 22. All right. All right. So I said each factor, excuse me, over that so you don't see it. I said each factor equal to 0. So this is x is equal to 3, x is equal to 19. And it turns out that one of these does not work. All right, the 3 does not work. Again, remember how I showed you how to do this in the last video. All right, now I know those were tough. I understand that. You don't have a whole lot of this, but let's see if you can do this one. Now on this one, you already have a radical plus a number on this side. All right, so I want to do the first step for you. Square this, square that. Okay, I'll even give you some more. This should be this, and on this side, you should go ahead and FOIL this like I did over here. Try your hand at it. If you do it correctly, your two answers should be 0 and -1. So see if you can get that.